Good morning. Welcome to Paris. Glad to have you here, and thanks for joining us here. My name is Michael MacKenzie, as he said. I'm the general manager for Industrial IoT, Industrial IoT Edge, and now robotics at AWS. So very nice to meet you all, and as I said, welcome to Paris. For us, I think IoT and LoRa really go together extraordinarily well. AWS was really interested in picking up this, this new technology to bring new value, new opportunities for our customers, to help us serve customers better. And a lot of what Stacy just told you about, having a great low-cost way of gathering a lot more data is exactly why AWS has participated and joined the LoRaWAN, the LoRa Alliance and the LoRaWAN initiative. I think when we work with our customers, we talk a lot about the fact that customers have these big digital transformation initiatives. We have a lot of customers who are saying, my C-level is saying that we have to have digital transformation across our operations. And when I talk to people on the shop floor, compared to talking to people in the C-suite, they all agree that digital transformation is going to be disruptive. Disruptive in a positive sense, that they're going to get better operations. They've got these promises of Industry 4.0 coming to them in real time. They believe that it'll make them more efficient, more effective, things like that. And really, IoT is one of the most disruptive technologies in a generation for allowing us to gather that deeper insight and that finer-grained data out of our processes. But it's still really challenging to deliver digital transformation. And why is that? Well, when we talk to the C-level and we talk to the shop floor, we often find that the two messages aren't actually aligned. We find that we all agree that we should do digital transformation, but what does it mean to somebody on the shop floor compared to somebody in the C-suite? What does it mean along the way? Do those projects perfectly match? Are they perfectly aligned? Often the challenge is that they don't. Often we're looking at this as this big pie-in-the-sky initiative. We're not really sure how to get going. When we do get going, sometimes the promise of the technology doesn't match the results that we get. And so it's a really big challenge to do these digital transformation projects. But like I said, IoT is one of the ways that we're contributing to the success of that digital transformation. Now, back in the early days of IoT, we heard this idea that, hey, we're going to connect all these devices to the cloud, and we're going to get tons more data, and this is going to be great. And what we did is, we all went to the whiteboard, and we drew a device, and then we drew an arrow, and we said, we're going to connect it, and then we drew a cloud icon, and we said, there, IoT. Device to cloud, that'll be it. That didn't deliver. So over time, we started looking at this as an industry, and we said, well, what we missed is that there's big data now. We have to do big data analytics. So we added this box that said, let's do analysis and big data analysis and things like that. And we added some great tooling to that, but it was all about really the data. What value can I get from the data? And that was good. It helped us along the way. It helped us along the path. But we've continued to evolve as an industry. And now when I talk about IoT with customers and when I talk about it in the industry, we're talking about a full life cycle here of, how do I close the loop back to the running processes? How do I close it back to these running things, these running processes, these actuations on the site, equipment that I can control, alarms that I can acknowledge, things like that. So it's really about closing the loop. And it's about gathering that data, collecting it all, analyzing it with great algorithms, great machine learning. You can't talk today about AI without talking about IoT, and vice versa. You can't talk about IoT without talking about AI. You really want to build in that machine learning, to have an algorithm in the loop to glean out any insight that you might be missing. So we start building all that together, and then closing that loop back to these surfaces is where we start to get the value. Always with the business objective in mind. What is that central business outcome that we're trying to achieve when we talk about digital transformation? But even with that in mind, even IoT creates a lot of challenges. Like Stacy mentioned, it can be really expensive, really costly to run all the wiring that's required to sensor everything. So what this means is, today we get a lot of equipment that's big, heavy assets, big, expensive assets, where we might be adding vibration sensors, thermal sensors, things like that. But we don't necessarily have that fine-grained data access and control that we want to have coming from those running processes. There's a lot of challenges in deployment. There's a lot of cost challenges to overcome with that kind of a model. And this is exactly why, for us, with AWS IoT, we really embraced this LoRaWAN technology. We really saw this as a way to help our customers get that fine-grained data, all those data points that they needed out of their systems, using a much lower cost sensor technology that's readily available. There's a huge catalog of LoRaWAN sensors out there that we can peel and stick into any part of our system. Stacy mentioned agriculture. We have lots of moisture sensors in agriculture that can be out there in the fields determining when we water, things like that. So LoRaWAN really gives us that ability to dig into that finer-grained data access. Does it very, very cost-effectively, and allows us to think about things like, how am I going to adapt over time? What kind of skills do I have in-house? What is that goal that my C-suite is looking for today versus what is my shop floor looking for today? And it allows us to think about IoT as an ever-changing, ever-evolving landscape. Something that, as we look at the pace of change over the years, we know it's going to be there 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and giving us that constant evolution. I was talking backstage, and I learned something kind of interesting today, so I'll just share this little nugget with you. LoRaWAN actually came from underground water metering back in the day. The first two engineers that were building this were looking at a way to capture data from underground water meters. And as they looked at lots of different technologies, and they were looking at different types of sensors and things like that, they came to this standard, which allowed them to talk to things underground. What's really cool about that is now we even have this operating with satellites now. We have sensors that we could connect with the satellite standard. We can go beyond cloud. We can go to satellites. We can go to space with this technology. So when we look at LoRaWAN and how it's evolving, it's really an exciting time to be a part of it. Something else that's really exciting for me when I look at LoRaWAN and how it's evolved over the years is that there's now more than 170 LoRa network server providers. That's great. We have a huge number of network providers out there, which allows us to really look at this technology as a global technology and something that's going to be available to all of our customers worldwide. And we do have some great customers who are solving a lot of these challenges already that we're working with. Quext is a really interesting company that is delivering smart home technology for multifamily dwellings. They've got a local gateway that sits in the unit, and it can provide all sorts of smart home technology and also acts as a wireless gateway for their clients. Subeka, really interesting work that we've been doing with Subeka now for more than a year, working with them on their smart utilities and their water metering. And then ComplianceMate. ComplianceMate's a really interesting company who's doing freezer monitoring and refrigeration monitoring for the fast food industry to make sure that food is always at temperature, that they're able to track and audit their compliance with food safety, things like that. And they're using, again, LoRaWAN sensors to connect up these refrigeration units and look globally at all of their different customers to make sure that they're in compliance. Now, one really interesting company, or not company, but use case that we've done just recently is a local example in the suburbs of Paris. It's the City of Drancy. And this is a really interesting use case for us because the City of Drancy managed to deploy a solution with us in just a matter of days. They actually managed to do two very interesting use cases. And again, they're just on the outskirts of Paris here. they had this vision to provide a better experience for their citizens and to be able to make the city operate more efficiently, more effectively, and to do the right things with the resources that they had. So, when they looked at LoRaWAN as a technology, there was this low-cost, wireless, open standard kind of a thing that allowed them to connect up all those data points that they wanted in a really, really rapid way. Working with the City of Drancy, we actually created this thing called our Smart Territories Framework, and it's a layering of additional libraries and some additional logic that helps smart city applications that are sitting on top of AWS IoT Core for LoRaWAN, which is the service that we provide under the hood here. So we basically provide this managed LNS. We provide this smart territories framework. And what they managed to do is connect up very quickly the real-time parking application for managing the parking resources and making sure that their citizens had that information readily available to them of where is there a parking spot, things like that. They also took this same technology with the same implementation into schools, into the public schools. And they started this to monitor the air quality of the public schools during the COVID pandemic to try to track air quality and reduce the spread of COVID. Even detecting things like, is there an open window, stuff like that. Now, over time, what that allowed them to do was also take notice of other inefficiencies that were going on in these buildings. So they could detect, thermal drops, things like that, using these air quality and these temperature sensors, so that now they can actually monitor the efficiency of those buildings and make sure that they're operating the most effectively that they can be. If you check out our booth in the exhibit hall, there's actually a video playing for Drancy. It's a very interesting use case. I would really encourage you to stop by and check it out. It's a fun one, and with their success of managing to deliver this in just a couple of days, it's a really great success story. Now, what we've done under the hood as AWS is we took this position of, again, when we look at IoT architectures, we wanted a way to quickly connect up low-power, long-range sensors. And so we provide this managed LNS under the hood called AWS IoT Core for LoRaWAN. The whole idea was to create this in a way that allowed the LoRaWAN infrastructure and the ecosystem of LoRaWAN to take advantage of some of the additional services that AWS provides for our IoT customers. So if you're working with AWS today, you probably would be familiar with IoT Core, connecting up millions of devices, hundreds of millions of devices, and using things like our rules engine, our data storage mechanisms, some of the SageMaker ML tools, things like that. We wanted to bring that same flexibility for customers working with LoRaWAN. So we really integrated this entire infrastructure, which allows then customers who are already connected with IoT or just starting their journey with IoT to also take advantage of this LoRaWAN ecosystem. We've also included things like a device connectivity and device management framework, gateway connectivity and gateway management. It does integrate with that rules engine for IoT Core, which is really nice. It basically sends data to anywhere that we need it to go. There's monitoring and troubleshooting applications, and we've just actually launched a firmware over-the-air update service, so a FOTA service, which will make it just that much more usable for customers. Now, we've seen a lot of pickup with this in industrial. That's been one of our top use cases for equipment monitoring and predictive maintenance. One of the most pervasive applications, though, for us was customers were asking us to help them do asset tracking and monitoring. And we also had, of course, the connected building and the smart city ecosystems that I talked about with Drancy. But one of our biggest challenges really was with this asset tracking and monitoring. And really implementing location-based LoRaWAN was quite a challenge with traditional technologies. So we were looking at this opportunity. We wanted to help our customers with asset tracking and location management, but we really didn't have a great solution. So I'm really excited today here at LoRaWAN World Expo to get to announce that we've done a really nice, tight integration with our great partner, Semtech. And we've done this brand new service just launching today. You're the first to hear about it. That allows us to build asset tracking, location tracking type services together very, very quickly and very, very easily. Semtech is providing a chip-to-cloud-based solution, the LoRa Edge solution, that allows them to track that location. It uses passive Wi-Fi and can gather the information from the global navigation satellite systems as well. There's no GPS required, no built-in GPS required. It's a single console experience into the AWS IoT console. It allows you to take advantage of all the different systems and services that Semtech is providing with their LoRa Edge suite and this new chip, and also allows us to integrate seamlessly with the LoRa Cloud into AWS IoT. So this is a really exciting one, a really simplified integration experience, and we're really happy to be able to announce that today. So if you don't know about Amazon Location Services, this is something that we launched, I think, at reInvent this last year. Amazon Location Services allows you to take advantage of all of that goodness with maps, with geofencing, with tracking, routing, looking for places, things like that. So we've integrated this into this same service, working with AWS IoT Core for LoRaWAN. And we've built this together in such a way that Semtech is providing indoor and outdoor tracking, seamless tracking, indoor and outdoor. They've also done this in a way that should reduce the power consumption compared to normal GNSS by about 10 times. So there's a massive power improvement here in addition to this great integration with these AWS services that allows you to build these asset tracking location services right away. So if you're looking to build an application for location tracking, this is the way to go. We're humbled that we've got a lot of customers working with us on this already. They're very excited about this, and really excited to be here at LoRaWAN Expo to talk about it. With this whole solution, location information is decoded and resolved by making API calls to the Semtech LoRa Cloud. Location data is also sent through our IoT Core rules engine for trigger-based location actions. And location data is then sent to Amazon Location Services directly with that rules engine, so you get all that mapping, you get all that location tracking, all of that right away. So it's a very powerful integration. And I guess if you're looking at how do we get started, well, we've also got lots of partners in this space. At AWS, we really took seriously that we wanted to have great partners immediately with this service and have all these different gateway providers and different equipment providers that we could integrate with. We actually have 12 gateways and 4 developer kits from our manufacturing partners available right now already. Companies like Browen, Dragno, Kerlink, Laird, Multitech, and Tectelic, all people that are in the exhibition floor. I'd encourage you to check it out. They've got automatic certification with AWS to connect to IoT Core for LoRaWAN, which should make the entire process that much more seamless and that much simpler. So thanks a lot. Hopefully that's interesting for you with the new location with Semtech. We're really excited about it, and enjoy Paris. Thanks a lot.